Good morning to my boundless friends. My name is Bethany Kempfert and I'm the owner of Boundless LLC, Myofascial Release and Physical Therapy. And I'm here this morning as an extension from yesterday's live video to talk about balance clocks. So really quick review, and if you missed it, go back and catch it retroactively. But yesterday we talked about grounding, where you use your breath to think about an upward flow with your inhale and a downward flow with your exhale, and having a sense of your feet growing roots into the ground. And that's a really important preliminary to this exercise because it really helps you get your core muscles engaged and your postural muscles engaged in helping you be well supported through your body and have a sense of being connected to the ground. So today's exercise, I threw some tape on the ground, but you don't need to do this. All you need is the visual that you're standing in the middle of a clock. So if you're standing in the middle of a clock, your 12 o'clock is ahead of you, 6 o'clock's behind you, and of course it'll all be backwards on camera, but for me standing here, we've got 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, all the way around to 6, 9, and back to 12. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do what I call balance clocks. And these are one of my favorite exercises that I used on just about everybody when I saw people in home care, because most people I saw in their homes were there because they were homebound and a lot of them had balance issues. And this is so key to helping you have balance, so in other words stability, but also have the ability to move. And that's such an important combination, is to have stability and yet also have mobility. And you know, having a sense of where your body is in space and having control in your torso muscles is really an important part of that. And I talked just a little bit about yesterday, you know what, we can't figure our bodies out cognitively. We have to let our bodies learn by experience. So I'm going to go ahead with this exercise. There's a couple different ways again to do this. What I find is the easiest way to do this initially is to do stepping. So you'd stand in the middle of that clock, and let's start with the right leg. You would step forward to the 12 o'clock, and then back. Forward to the 1 o'clock, and back. And you notice each time I make that step, I let my body weight shift. And so for this round, I'm keeping myself basically facing to the front, even though I'm stepping out in different directions. I'm still keeping my pelvis facing towards the front. When we get all the way to the 12, it can switch around and be your left leg going. And I'm probably not hitting all my lines, but since you're going to be doing this in imagination, that doesn't really matter. And you can go all the way around the clock, stepping into each one of those spots. Okay? So that's the really simple way of doing that. Now, that same exact technique can be changed just a little bit, and this particular change will make this more of a hip stability exercise. So the next change is every time you go to one of the numbers, you allow your body to turn just a little bit towards that number. So by the time we get to the 3, I've really kind of got my torso turned quite a bit. And then by the time I get to the 4, I've had to kind of open up my hips to get back there. To the 5 and to the 6. Now, this might not be everybody's range. If somebody has balance problems, they might only be able to do this particular exercise where you open up your direction. They may only be able to do that maybe as far as the 3 or even as far as the 1 or 2. And let me take one big step back here. If somebody has balance problems, this exercise, I advise doing it at the kitchen sink or something else solid that you can hold on to. Because if you're holding on the kitchen sink, you might take a little smaller steps, but you can still do all of this exercise right there at the kitchen sink with that stability of either your hands holding on or hovering over the kitchen sink. All right, so that was 2, the stepping out and the stepping out with a change in the pelvis direction. Then there's one other type of exercise that's the same concept. This one is a little bit more challenging, and it focuses a little more on the stability part of balance as opposed to the mobility part. this one, you're going to keep your body anchored over one leg. So you're just going to touch a toe out to that number, out to that imaginary number. So for this one, it's really working on your ability to have one-legged stand. There are a lot of people who actually cannot do one-legged stand for any amount of time. But that's not a good thing from a balance perspective, because really walking is a series of standing on one leg, standing on one leg, standing on one leg. So the more difficulty someone has with standing on one leg even for a little bit of time, more than likely the higher risk of fall that person has. So again, this one, staying stable on one foot, touching those little clock landmarks. You can go all the way around the clock. This one, you're keeping your pelvis fairly square in the front, and then switching that around and going to the other side. Okay? So you can do this simply going around the clock numbers, or you can get lively. You could even have somebody else call out numbers to you. 9, 7. Well, you have to think a little bit there too. 3. So not only then does it mix it up a little bit in terms of balance, but it also becomes a little bit of a distraction. This is a great one to do for kids for a little balance exercise, because when you're thinking in that moment, oh, where's that number? You're getting distracted from your body awareness, and that actually adds a level of challenge. Okay? So I would encourage you to play around with this one. You can spice it up in whatever directions you want. You can do it quicker. You can do it slower. And those each have their own challenge. But I hope that you'll find that you enjoy this balance exercise, and I hope that you find balance, or I hope that you find benefit in helping to improve your balance. And I would encourage you to share this if you have loved ones who are stranded at home and you know they have some balance issues. I would encourage you to share this video with them, but also with that little reminder to always be being safe and do this at a sink if you've got any kind of balance issues. All right, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for joining me.